ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to my channel for another Hot Toys 1/6 scale Xenomorph figure unboxing and review. Today, we're taking a look at the Alien Warrior based off its appearance in Aliens, the second film in the Alien franchise. Now, if you're heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button, so you're notified as soon as brand new Alien content goes live on the channel. This is a huge box. Surely Alien Warrior isn't going to be as big as Big Chap was. There's only one way to find out. As for the box art, up front we've got an image, a side profile shot of the Alien Warrior's head, aliens through the middle, as well as his name just below the movie logo, some other logos down below, and all of the artwork has this blue tint to it that reminds me of the color grading from the movie and the vibe that the film had. The only complaint I have with this box is why the clear plastic slipcover. Yes, it adds some depth to the artwork, but it gets scratched up so easily. They were onto a good thing with the frosted plastic from Big Chap, but they ditched it in favor of the clear stuff for this guy. On the side of the box, aliens, and a little bit more of the Xenomorph wrapping over the edge from the front cover and working its way around to the back of the box. So it's like just one continuous piece of artwork, I guess, because this is the back of the Xeno on the back of the box. We also have warnings, legal information, as well as 2 of Hot Toys' store locations. Ah, damn, they ditched the frame for the clear plastic window that was in the shape of the Xeno. We saw that with Big Chap. This is a more traditional style open window, showcasing the Xenomorph as well as his accessories inside. Oh no, they didn't. They printed eggs on the bottom of the box around the back, but they didn't include any eggs. No eggs, no face huggers, no chest bursters, but they saw fit to print them on the box anyway. Around the back, underneath the slipcover, we've got aliens, as well as the cast and crew responsible for making this piece. The one thing on my mind right now is, how does this guy compare to Big Chap? Is he better, worse, or about the same? Mostly in terms of durability, but aesthetics as well. First in-hand impressions for him. So far, so good. He feels nice and heavy, and the outfit or body comes across as though it is much sturdier than Big Chap's was. What we're going to do now is get all of Alien Warrior's accessories laid out in the light box and take a closer look at everything he comes with. This was their chance to redeem themselves after the lackluster showing of accessories that we got with Big Chap. He came out in 2009, where Alien Warrior came out in 2016. So plenty of years in between the 2 pieces. Did they do that? Did they give us eggs and face huggers and chest bursters? Absolutely not. Instead, they doubled down on the lack of accessories by taking away the wired hands that we got with Big Chap. So with Alien Warrior, we get a reused base, but this time it says Alien Warrior around the front, and we have a crotch grabber that's been specifically designed to hold him in place on the base, and some effect pieces. I really would have liked to have seen at least one egg to pop on or around the base. We've got some acid burn markings dotted around the place, and you could technically take one of these effect pieces and pop that on the acid scorch marks if you so choose. The way it's been painted looks decent. There's some dirt and grime on the caution tape, some brown airbrush shading, claw marks around the back, some pops of red, and a lighter grey dry brush over the top. So this was it then. They were hoping that this was going to be enough to entice people to pick up the Xenomorph if they already had multiple other Xenomorphs, including the 2 previous Alien Warriors that we got from them. I don't know if it worked, but I like these. They're cast in translucent fluoro green plastic, and there's a black wash just in the crevices to make this look like nasty, gross-looking alien blood. We will try these out on him a little bit later. What we're going to do now, though, is get the Alien Warrior himself out here. Standing straight up and down in the light box, no crazy poses or accessories or anything like that. Not that any of that really applies to this beast anyway, because he doesn't come with jack shit and he can't pose for shit. He still looks incredible though. Just standing there in front of us, rotating around. Proportions wise, he looks accurate to me. He's this tall, gangly, lanky looking thing. And he's got the P word presence. They've taken some of the best design elements from Big Chap, carried them over to Alien Warrior, but then put their own flair on it. There's a metallic finish in certain places, he's glossy and slick and wet looking, and even more mean thanks to the massive blades on his arms. There is one design change that I'm not a massive fan of, and I'm pretty sure, even from a distance, if you're an Alien fan, you're in the same boat as me, you can tell what that is. I don't love that they took the dome off when they revised the design for Aliens vs. Alien. Up close and personal, kicking things off with Alien Warrior's head sculpt. Is this design for a Xeno as iconic as Big Chap is, for example? Nah, I don't think so. You just can't beat the frosted plastic dome with the human skeleton underneath it. There's something so inherently creepy about the way that Big Chap looks. But still, I don't want to write this design off just yet. It's iconic in a different way. Now the Xenos are movie specific. You know straight away when you're looking at Big Chap that that's the Xenomorph from the first movie. Then when you look at one of these guys, that's one of multiple Xenomorphs from the second film. The reason why on set they ditched the dome was because Stan Winston and James Cameron, they tried it. And it might have worked with only one Xeno. But multiple? They were cracking, they wouldn't fit right, they were getting condensation trapped underneath so you couldn't see any of this detail, but most importantly, they were glossy. So lights would reflect off the surface weirdly, and you could see the camera reflected in the domes for close-up shots. That was a no-go, they ripped off the domes, and that's why the Xenos look like this in the second film. Is it just me, or do the divots around the front remind you of Big Chap as well? That almost looks like the suggestion of some eye sockets. I don't know if that's intentional. If it is, it ups the creepy factor. We've got these spikes over the top that mimics the look of the spinal column from Big Chap. We also have these ribbed sections, a bunch more ribbing and hoses and cables on the side of the head, and unfortunately, the rubbery plastic mandibles make a return. The teeth are sculpted plastic, the entire head sculpt is sculpted plastic, it's just the mouth area that's made of this soft, squishy rubber. If you have one of these, or if you have Big Chap, get yourself some 303 protectant. Spray it in a little jar or something, grab a paintbrush, rub it on the surface, wipe it off, protect this stuff because you do not want it to degrade over time. And it absolutely will. Even around the back of the head sculpt, we've got these spikies on his neck, more hoses, a bunch more ribbing detail work to look at, and the paint. Instead of going with this earthy brown-green tone from the first movie, we've got a metallic blue finish to the Alien Warrior. There's still some brown thrown in the mix, and technically the screen-used costumes were brown, but they looked metallic blue because of all of the color grading and the way that these things were lit in the movie. That's why Hot Toys decided to go with the metallic blue finish. And it pops, man. When light bounces off the surface, this figure looks absolutely gorgeous. Once again, Dean Knight told me not to do this, but I'm going to just once, one time only, for the sake of this video. I want to see what the inner jaw looks like coming out of the mouth. To do that, you slide this little rail system around the back forward, and his mouth will spring open, revealing the inner jaw on the inside. If you push it all the way forward, it's supposed to lock in place, but the mechanism hasn't really held up that well over the years. Oh, I'm so glad that's over. That was scarier for me than the offspring at the end of Alien Romulus. Around the back, he looks quite Big Chap-esque, with the tubers sticking out of him and the horizontal but curved spinal column piece with the little spikies up top. These are rubbery plastic, so no worries when it comes to breakage. And they're all attached to this free-floating of sorts rib cage shoulder pad piece. This is made of a much sturdier plastic as compared to the rest of the body, and it still gives me facehugger finger vibes with them wrapping around from the back and then embedding themselves into the front of him. This is such a tactile figure. When you run your finger across the surface of the suit, you can feel all the ribbing and the texture and the depth at play, where some pieces are more inset than others. This blade on the forearm is Alien Warrior specific. It's not present on Big Chap. And it's got this mottled texture on the surface. It feels kind of nasty, actually. They also ditched the extra thumb on the outside of the Xenomorph's hand, so he's now only got one thumb, and some webbed, sinewy-looking flesh connecting that thumb to the rest of his fingers. I actually find this really clever. If you want to access the wrist peg, you can. Plenty of range of motion out of that joint. But you can also collapse it up inside the body, close up the gap, and now his arms look that little bit more seamless. The one big design change between this guy and Big Chap is his body is no longer made of rubber. The only rubber on this entire piece is up top for the mouth area. I wish that was gone too, but still, this outfit, this body feels way more durable than Big Chap's did. It's not going to crack, it's not going to dry out, it's going to look shiny and metallic and wet and glossy like this. Fingers crossed, forever. It's lasted this long, and right now, out of the box, this guy looks like he's in pristine condition. The only trade-off with this style of material for the body is that articulation is very limited. I'm okay with the trade-off for having something seamless that looks as good as this does and is as sturdy as this is, but some of you won't be. You'll want more articulation, and I totally get that. But hey, the tail is wired. This thing you can pose the shit out of. It's not made of rubber, but it's more lightweight compared to the PVC they've used on the body. You can curl this thing around him, you can have it going through his legs if you so choose. You don't have to necessarily get dynamic with the Alien Warrior. Use the tail to make this piece look more dynamic. I'm going to try just like Big Chap and only have smooth flowing curves with the tail, because seeing janky, harsh angles with it like that, it ruins the organic look of the tail immediately. The way the finish shifts from metallic blue to almost black to undertones of green and brown, it's really cool. I don't know how else to describe it. You'll have to see what I mean if you've decided to now pick up an Alien Warrior after this review. In typical Xeno fashion, his legs are very long, they're spindly, they're lanky looking. We've got some ribbing up the top where it looks like the skin has split away to reveal what's underneath. More of that around the back. Some hoses running all the way down to his ankles. Some little rounded sections. And some defined knee pads. Somehow, his feet look even grosser than Big Chap's do. We've got 2 spikes at the back now, but also an additional toe on the inside of the foot, versus Big Chap, he didn't have that. But this sticks out quite far on the inner part of the foot, so it's going to add some much needed stability to a top-heavy figure like this with a massive honkin' head. There's spiky nails around the front, and they're fully detailed on the underside. I've been just itching to try out these translucent plastic acid blood effect pieces. The smaller one goes on his head sculpt and you can flip it round if you want to. It attaches with a magnet, whereas the chest ribcage one is a friction fit. It's meant to go like this. That's the most secure way of having it on there. But you can flip it round. It just isn't as secure, so if you bump it, this is probably going to fall off. I like this, it adds some vibrant green to the front of him, but I want to have my alien warrior terrorizing Ripley in the display, not being outright blasted and decimated by colonial marines. For a quick side-by-side comparison, on the left, alien warrior, and on the right, big chap. You can't be called big chap without being the biggest chap, so I'm glad that the figure on the right is clearly the taller of the two. There are a ton of design differences between these pieces, and it's not just the head. The arms are longer on Alien Warrior, the hands, the fingers are massive on him, he's got the blades on his forearms, the feet are different, and then we get to the color palette. There's just more to look at paint-wise on Alien Warrior thanks to all of the metallics. There's a metallic brown in certain areas, but predominantly it's the metallic blue that stands out the most. Not accurate, the wrong Ripley, this is her from the first movie versus Aliens with the shorter hair and the different jumpsuit. If you wanted to do this, have these two standing alongside one another in the collection with Alien Warrior representing Big Chap for now until we eventually get a 2.0 of him, I reckon you could do a hell of a lot worse than this. The Xenomorph towers over Ripley, the height difference looks about right to me. I am working on a custom Ripley based off her look in Aliens that is going to be different as compared to the one that Present Toys is releasing. So keep an eye out on the channel for an upcoming Build-A-Figure episode on Ripley. Going over articulation, I'll try my best here. His body is made of a PVC outer layer with a articulated body underneath it, so some of the joints get barely any range. Starting off with his head sculpt, there's a double ball peg inside of it, so you can push it forward and back, looking forward to there, looking up to there, you get swivel and pivot side to side. His arms are plugged in separately at the shoulders on ball joints. They move very freely forward and back. Going out a little, we also get swivel thanks to that ball joint inside of the shoulder. Ratcheted double bend at the elbow going almost to 90, but not really, it just springs right back down. Then for the wrist peg, it's a hinge and swivel. His torso crunches forward to there, going back to there, further than forward at least, swivel and pivot side to side. His legs go forward to there, and trust me, I am really fighting this. Going out to there, as far as I can tell, no swivel at the upper thigh. Ratcheted double bend at the knee, getting you to maybe 45. And lastly, a hinge and swivel for the ankles, plugged into the foot at an angle. So it's good for forward and back and rotation, but you also get ankle tilt without having to rotate the joint underneath this PVC outer layer. Moving on to the 3 cool and 3 annoying things. The first annoying thing is they ditched all the rubber, except for the stuff on the head sculpt, and that just means we still can't have a Xenomorph posed with its mouth open and its inner jaw sticking out long term. The second annoying thing is we only get one pair of hands. They took away the wired set that we got with Big Chap. The third annoying thing is this is it for the accessories. We don't get any eggs, or chest bursters, or face huggers, just some effect pieces and a display base. But it's better than the base that we got last time. It still looks the same, meaning it's absolutely beautiful, but now we've got a crotch grabber, so Alien Warrior is going to be planted on this base. It's got a nice long arm to it, so you can extend it up, and the scoop is wide enough to accommodate his weird alien-shaped crotch area. The second cool thing is Alien Warrior can have his mouth properly shut. With Big Chap, it was always hanging open and it looked goofy as hell. The third cool thing, it's not designed for this. The ribcage sculpt is very similar to what we've got on Alien Warrior. So if you want to grab the acid blood effect piece and pop it on Big Chap, it snaps in place surprisingly securely. Wrapping up on Alien Warrior, based off its appearance in Aliens. Is he better, technically speaking, compared to Hot Toys Big Chap? As a figure? Yes, he is. Aesthetically and functionality-wise, he feels way more durable. He's got the metallic finish to him, so he pops, he looks slick and wet and slimy and glossy, and he's got the added Alien Warrior design elements to him with the blades and the extra spikes all over the place. So, as a figure, I prefer Alien Warrior. But as a Xenomorph, I still prefer Big Chap. The look of him with that frosted dome and how tall he is and the movie that he's from, it just all works in his favor. So the figure wins, but the design overall I still give to Big Chap. If one day we get a 2.0 of the OG, I'll be all the way in because that would be a dream piece for me. Nevertheless, they did a really good job refining their design process for their Xenomorphs when they made Alien Warrior. He comes with less stuff, but if all you care about is the Xeno, I reckon you're going to be really happy with the Alien Warrior. Now, if you're heading down to the description, why not hit that subscribe, bell notification icon, and join button if you like the sound of seeing your name in the end credits of my reviews. Like, comment, and subscribe. We'll catch you in the next video.